Welcome, I'm Bob Burke, Chair of the Libertarian Party, Pierce St. Croix. On behalf of our party, we would like to begin by saying that the St. Croix County Fair was an amazing experience for our volunteers. The opportunity to speak with friends and neighbors sparked some really interesting and great conversations, and on behalf of the team, thank you for visiting our booth. Our goal at the fair was to show that we're a different kind of party. We are very proud to present our Youth Debt Rejection Signature Board, where over 100 young Americans signed this announcement rejecting any responsibility for any part of the U.S. federal debt. We even gave them a little sticker for signing. Great job. We have always said that our actions were about our children and their future, and we hope that you're starting to see that. On Friday, we gave away 120 peace stickers to children that visited our booth, reminding the parents that we have now been at war for over 12 years, and that maybe if we all start thinking about peace, it can be over before their children grow up. This leads us to a related topic that I personally think needs to be addressed in a substantial and meaningful way. In the 1930s, the Nazis demonized the Jews. The country needed a scapegoat, and they were a very easy target. By the time the Jews were being shipped to the ghettos, most Germans justified supporting everything they did because they believed the propaganda. I'd like you to watch this short clip by Libertarian Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Since the tragedy of 9/11, numerous crazies and low-level copycats have engaged in criminal behavior which they hoped would result in the deaths of innocent Americans and somehow advance their cause of jihad. If you ask the leadership of the FBI, most of whose field agents are tireless, dedicated, Constitution-supporting professionals, it will tell you that the FBI, has foiled about 17 plots to kill Americans during the past 10 years. What it will not tell you is that there have been 20 foiled plots, and of them, 3 were interrupted by members of the public. The 17 that were interrupted by the feds were created by the feds. We all remember the 3 that were foiled by diligent Americans: the shoe bomber, the underwear bomber, and the Times Square bomber. In all of these cases, the crimes charged were those of attempting to kill and conspiring with others to do so. In all 3 of those cases, alert Americans on transcontinental flights or in the streets of New York City told authorities of bizarre behavior or actually subdued the threats themselves. There was no foiling by the FBI. The plotters were, thankfully, bumbling fools who had poorly planned their criminal behavior and who ended up harming no one. All 3 are serving life terms. But the more curious cases are the remaining 17, for which the federal government has taken credit. They all have a common and reprehensible thread. They were planned, plotted, controlled, and carried out by the federal government itself. In all of these 17 cases, from the Fort Dix 6 to the Lackawanna 7 to the Portland Parade bomber, the feds found young men of Muslim backgrounds, loners who were bitter at America. They befriended them, cajoled them, and persuaded them that they could change the world by killing Americans. In all these cases, agents worked undercover and portrayed themselves to the targets as Arabs of like un-American mind. In some cases, the federal agents used third parties to act as middlemen. The third parties were typically persons who had been convicted of crimes and who, in return for leniency at their own sentencings, were willing to work with the same feds who prosecuted them in order to help the feds entrap whomever else those feds were pursuing. Thus, in all 17 of these cases, because of the command and control of federal agents, no one was ever in danger, no one was harmed, no bomb went off, and no property was damaged. But in all those cases, the losers whom the feds targeted each believed that they were interacting with real plotters who would bring them cash and bombs. As we know, sometimes the cash arrived, but the bombs never did. The defendants were essentially charged and convicted for playing a game with federal agents.
Our government wants you afraid of terrorists and boogeymen. There are people out there that do want to do us harm, and each day our government gives them more and more reason in our name. Our government, however, wants you and others fighting about gun rights. They want you chattering back and forth whether there's such a thing as a white Hispanic, and they love it when the draft comes. You won't believe what they could drive through the distraction of the holidays. But what they don't want you to do is bring into focus the rest of the reality around us. The one where we are constantly under surveillance, where every day another law to protect you from the bad guys strips another civil right clean away. Heaven forbid you learn about the rigged game happening all around us, where laws only apply outside of Washington's aristocracy. When libertarians talk about a strong national defense, we mean it. But what we have today isn't national defense. This is a collusion of big business, big government, and big military-industrial complex. War is big business, and we need a target. We used to call that fascism. And much like the Germans of post-World War II, our complicity supporting this two-party system will mean that we will be held accountable for what we do and the blood they spill in our name. On a lighter note, years ago, I read a marvelous, smart, and funny book called Plato and a Platypus Walk into a Bar, Understanding Philosophy Through Jokes. The philosophy joke I most enjoyed went like this. An optimist says the glass is half full. A pessimist says the glass is half empty. A realist wonders why those two idiots are using a glass that's twice as big as they need. What I learned from the fair this year is as follows. The two-party political optimist still thinks they can fix the party from the bottom up, while forgetting that the fish rots from the head down. The two-party political pessimist is someone who blames the other party for making their party rot from the head down, and so defends what it was in a nobler day. The two-party political realist sees that the solution to our problems lies outside of those two parties. Like us on Facebook, join our YouTube channel, and don't forget Twitter, all at Liberty Valley WI. Peace.